Evidently, I did not have my audio on. I must have accidentally clicked my microphone button, and yeah, good stuff. Rihanna, can you confirm? Do you hear audio now? I feel like I could have heard a yes from downstairs, or I could have heard Luna barking, and I don't know for sure. Woo! I got a yes. All right, so folks, welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, aka that Tellest guy. I was saying before I didn't realize I wasn't being heard. Can you hear me over the sound of the fans? And also mentioning that I had the air conditioner running in this room, so it is not mind-meltingly hot in here right now. It's getting hot again. I had it down to 82 degrees. It's already climbed back up 2 degrees. So we're making small baby steps towards feeling comfortable in this room, and I feel like once I figure out a routine that works better for us, we'll be able to keep this room cooler longer. Anyway, so we are back today looking at our southern wing of the Forgotten Keep. And what I was doing prior to going live today was kind of identifying something that you can do if you're making maps to help to develop a smaller dungeon. I mean, you can do this in bigger dungeons as well, but what you really should be doing is trying to keep these 5 room types in mind when you're developing your story, your dungeons, basically the scenario that you want to run for your players, your audience. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is establish things. So you're going to kind of develop a lore room. So that's what we have for our first room here. It's what we had in the eastern wing. It's what we had in the western wing in the prisons. You're basically trying to kind of set dress and give your audience, your players, an idea of what's coming next. I should mention this is for beginner DMs. This is not for, I'm sure established DMs can use this technique, but most of the time I would expect that they know how to craft these basic things. But for beginning DMs, someone who might not have started a campaign yet, but has a general idea that they want to do this, this is a great way to kind of conceptualize, here's all the things that I need in order to make a dungeon, or even something outside of a dungeon, if you're able to craft it that way, feel like this. So again, we have our lore chamber. This is our first room that we're playing with. It establishes the lore of this southern wing, so we know that there's some kind of blacksmithing flavor. We see all the weapons and the armor and everything here, and then you kind of establish more of that lore here in the second room that the players are able to go into, because they can see the suits of armor, which, depending on what your game master wants to do, maybe those are armor golems that come to life when you try to move through here, or if you bump into them by accident or something like that. After that, what you can do is you can develop some treasure in some of your rooms. So we've got a couple of places that someone has to go through before they're given the compensation of some well-earned treasure. So we have at least this basic encounter first leading into treasure, because if you just have treasure willy-nilly around for people, it doesn't feel earned, it doesn't feel deserved. So you want to make sure that the treasure is somewhere that they can get to after they do something that kind of allows them to redeem that sense of achievement. It's a good idea to try and figure out some kind of puzzle, trap, adventure element, something along those lines. I purposely made my way into this puzzle room, which we talked about yesterday, but I felt like it was cheap to not show you how to do this with Inkarnate. So we've already got a path that's set up here. We already made our square path, but what we know from my discussion yesterday was this room is going to be a trap called Airlock. And basically what it's supposed to do is the ceiling is going to come down, and there's nowhere safe for the players to go in the room itself, but there are little alcoves that the players should be able to see. I did that wrong. What I actually meant to do was put one there. No, I lied. The problem is I have one too many node. It's supposed to go there and there. That needs to come out, and then one of these needs to come back. There we go. And then what we're going to do is put one more here, move that up. So you've got this little square base. So my description yesterday was the airlock puzzle was supposed to be there's less spaces on these sides of the walls than you actually need for your players. So if you have 5 adventurers in your party that you're DMing for, there's only 4 alcoves. You really can do anything. It could be just 4 alcoves regardless of how many players you have. If you have 5, 6, 7, whatever. And if you need to, you can make it if you have a smaller party and you're trying to kind of close these up, you can say that there's like debris in there or something like that. It's stacked and you can't get out. Or you could make it kind of a fun experience where the players are trying to get in there and it's like a race against time to get that stuff out. Now the real trick of this is this airlock puzzle it cannot harm your adventurers because you're not trying to actually hurt anybody. You're not really trying to do anything except for trick them into believing that harm will befall them, because it really will help you to establish what kind of players, what kind of adventurers you're playing with. You can have someone who, like our player, was selfless and said, I'm going to put you in here, I'll try and put my hands up and stop this ceiling from crashing down and squishing me. Or you could have someone who's a little bit more on the unlawful, chaotic, evil side, who says, no way, I got here first, you're not, tough luck. So this gives them an opportunity to kind of do those kind of things as well. And you get to really see what kind of person you're dealing with. I had this so nice before, and it doesn't want to play as nice now. So let's move this up here, and we'll do another one there, and we can grab one more chunk down here. So then we just got to do it on the opposite side as well. So we'll do this here, move that over, do a chunk here that we can scooch, move these here. It does take a little while, especially like when you do like the snap to grid, to really like get comfortable and remember what you're doing and things like that. But once you get used to it, it almost becomes second nature. So we do know that we're going to do that up there and drag that down, move that here, drag that down. So what we can do, I want to make it so that these alcoves sort of have like a stepping up into it kind of feel. So let's real quick see if this is brighter, and if it's not, we'll make it brighter. Oh, that's darker. How is that darker? Oh, you know what it is? It's because my opacity was down. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, so it's the same color. So let's do... I want this to look like you're stepping up into it, so it needs to be brighter on the map because it's higher up. Let's go crazy. Let's do 160. Get rid of that completely, and then do it one more time. You can barely tell. And I think that's because of the way the shadows are landing. But here's the thing. These ones are pretty similar in shade as well. That one's a little darker. Let's do one more. I already had it at 161 anyway, which is screwy. Yeah, you're not even going to be able to tell. I know, and that's the important part. Alright. So, let's do a real quick save. We are at 11 minutes in. Let's test the Stream Deck stuff, because yesterday it was not working. So let's do a cute test first. Yep, we got laughing dogs. What we'll do is we're going to put the timer up, start that timer. Maybe. Is that working? Yes. All right. So we've got the timer working. We're going to keep working for a minute or two. And let's see what we got. So one of the other things that we want to do is some set dressing in this room, because in order to really kind of get the idea across to your players that this is a dangerous spot, it helps to have some kind of bones, skulls, some kind of sign that there's some bad stuff that could potentially happen. So let's get some bones. We'll put them in like the corners and stuff. Maybe that's like where the people ran off to. We don't need this snap to grid anymore. Do that and that, and let's actually find a skull. Not one of the epic skulls. I just need a regular little skull. Something like that. Alright, we've got a little red light on my stream deck, meaning it is time to go to our ad. So let's do that real quick. So turn that off, and we're going to do a 90-second ad, and when we come back, we're going to go and check out our QQ in-house advertisement. Hello, Pickledorf. Alright, I think the ads are running. No ads. I mean, I do think that the ads run different for everyone. Let me try one more time. Now it's actually saying go pound sand, Mike. So there's definitely something that's still missing that I have to connect, and I'll do that at another time. So it is going to. Oh, yes, it is working now. Oh goodness. Good times. All right, let's do a little something different. Do something like that. Turn it. Let's do an old stain on the floor. Too transparent. I want it to look brownie dead. Rihanna and Matt, if you can let me know when the commercial ends, if you can. So we're going to try and see if we can't find. There we go. Something a little bit more like that. Looks a little bit like. And let's do one more. One down here that will shrink a little bit. All right, Rihanna, are we back from break? Excellent. All right, we're going to go to our QQ ad real quick. Now that our Twitch channel has reached affiliate status, we can start to do some really cool things. One of them is inviting you to play our tabletop dungeon diving game, Quantum Quest. Using our channel points, called Quest Coins, you can queue up for one of our forthcoming Tabletop Thursday games. In addition, as we amass more followers, we'll continue to add new ways for you to use your Quest Coins. Join us and see if you can escape the living dungeon. Alright, we should be back. You should be able to hear me. Rihanna, if you can hear me, I want you to do one more thing for me, if you don't mind. I want you to use some of your channel points to tell me to hydrate. Number one, because I'm thirsty, and number two, because I want to check something. Yeah! I got a sound and everything. Alright, taking a sip. And that shows up on the screen. And it fades out nice. Very good. So now everybody can call me out. Did you actually hear the sound too, Rihanna, or was it just on my end? Meh. I wonder if that's something that I can program. Alright, so we are moving on from that room because that room is pretty much set dressed as much as I want it to be. I don't want it to be super in your face what's about to happen. You know what? We'll probably put some like rubble chunks and stuff like that so you can say you also see some stuff on the ceiling that's missing or whatever like that. I'm going to put a chest there. That's going to be our treasure. And then what we'll do is we'll make this kind of like a barracksy kind of thing. Or like a dining area for our lizard folk and gnolls and such like that. So let's do just a single table back here. You have but you also have low speaking volume, so it's possible I didn't hear it. Yeah, it's just kind of like a subtle kind of sound. Heard it very slightly. So I have a question for you, Rana. I'm not trying to be low speaking. I'm going to turn up the gain a little bit. Can you hear me better now? That a little better? I mean, I'm closer to the microphone. This is about where I usually sit. Any better when I'm talking now? A smidge. How about now? Any better? And I guess another important question is when I turn the gain up, can you hear the fans anymore? I think that was the original reason that we were trying to keep the gain down a little bit. Yes, a bit. Yes, a bit. You can hear me good, or yes, a bit. You can hear the fans. I think I'm going to turn it back down. And I'll just try and talk a little louder. All right, yeah, we're just going to go a little bit further down. So we'll go about halfway. And I was told to hydrate a second time, so I did. All right, so we've got that. Let's go and get some chairs in here. You know what? We've done this before. We went over whether or not we should have used the Nordic tables. And we didn't use the tables up there because the blacksmith kind of required it not to have that kind of thing. But we can use this table here. It looks a little bit more rustic, so we'll do that. I need that to be underneath the wall, however. And I'm stretching. I need to get me headphones or something. Noise canceling ones. Well, does that help you with anything? Right? Ultimately, that's the problem, right? We want to make sure that it's something that helps you guys. I don't believe... You didn't believe that I stretched? I stretched. I stretched pretty good. I had a little knot in my back. I'm doing it again because you don't believe me, but I was doing it. See, realistically now, there's no reason for me not to have the camera off. I mean, I'm going to have the camera off simply because I don't have it set up yet, but the whole reason that I had it off ever since we turned it off was, oh, we need to work on volume stuff generally. Yeah, I agree. Not that one. Not you, chair. I forgot what I was going to say. Therefore, it was not important. Let's do a couple of mugs and maybe a plate of food or something. The ending sequence after I miss you kills my ears. Well, I can work on that, and later this evening you can tell me whether or not what I did helped or not. Silly mugs. Yeah, one of the... you and I, we always complain about when volume is inconsistent, so we definitely want to work on that kind of stuff here. I don't want to make people's ears bleed and make people sad. Alright, so we got that one. Got a couple of other rooms that are still tricky. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to lock that door as well. So these two rooms are both going to be locked. We're actually going to do some kind of treasure box in both of them. And the trick in this one is that the chest itself doesn't have anything in it, but the barrel nearby it does. One of the barrels does. I mean, it doesn't have to. It's whatever. And let's do a crate in here. We'll actually put it under the table so that the players can see it. And it requires a little bit of something. You know, I don't like the fact that it's the frozen one, so let's get a regular crate. So they pull that crate out and go through and get whatever they want out of it. Maybe a key or something along those lines. Alright, let's do a save. Folks, we're going to try another button, make sure our streaming thing is working. So throw that follow-up. I'm pretty sure that everybody who's on right now is already following, so nobody has to do anything too crazy, but I appreciate it no matter what. Right, that save should be wrapping up soon, so let's figure out what else we're doing here. So one encounter does not a super fun story make, but let's figure out before we go into the encounters. Let's keep doing a little bit of set dressing in the puzzle room over here. So we're going to do, I think rock, might be stones. There we go. We're going to do some piles of ruins. Let's dial that to about 15. So I want some stones to be in this area too. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so I'm going back to my Excel map. And one of the things was the whole roof is basically caving in this place. So we want to be able to reflect that. So let's do, it was specifically this area here. So we're going to put a little bit of debris here. The fun thing about putting the debris here is that can give you a reason for someone to trip. If you're really trying to make it so that the armor needs to be touched in order for it to spring to life, this gives you a way to do that. You know, if one of your players trips over some of this rubble and hits one of the things of armor, it's a fun little thing that you can play with. And I will say this, there's not a lot of variety in some of these things, so we'll shrink that down, put that over here, maybe mess with the brightness of that one. Oh, goodness. Alright, so we've got the debris everywhere here. We've got, before the stream, I put this area together down here. We might still be able to do a little bit here, but I don't want to go too crazy yet. Originally, there was no stairway down into the basement, but I wanted to make sure that there was for the purpose of having the 3 floors in this wing, as we're prone to doing. So we've got that room. Probably need to do a little bit more there. Definitely need to do a little bit more there. And then these last 2 rooms are really the ones that that are giving us a hard time. So again, we have the basic encounter here. We've got our lore room. We've got our treasure rooms. We've got our puzzle room, and then we've got our advancing the story. Let's see. It's been a long time since I ran this campaign, so I'm just kind of putting together ideas as we go. Let's go into our stuff here and see if anything kind of jumps out at us. Again, we are kind of getting into that point where we're starting to utilize the same stuff over and over again. we don't necessarily want to do that. So let's go into, got some broken chests and broken trapdoors and stuff. Don't want to do any of those, I don't think. We're all spider webbed out. Let's see. Could do some statues. Although that's very similar to the to those guys. But maybe it doesn't matter if we're putting them down here. In fact, that's kind of a fun thing to play with, because you could say to your party, you know, you walk into this room and see these things. If they've already activated those things up there, they might see these statues and instantly kind of panic. Let's give them, we've got the lore in the beginning. Let's give them some more stuff that they can kind of deal with over here. Let's see if we can do a desk. Got the snow and ice stuff over here. Tuck this in over here. Maybe we'll shrink it down a little bit more. Shrink that down to that size because I want to put a chair over here facing out and do our first different chair of the evening. We'll tuck that in underneath. So our blacksmith in this part of the dungeon is dwarven, so we're framing a lot of the stuff with dwarven kind of statues and stuff like that. Shrink this stuff down a little bit. Again, over here, pretty much done. You can see it's subtle, but we've got the stairs are getting darker the further down they are. And then we've got this kind of terminating up into, you know, the entrance to the second floor. This down here goes into the basement. I don't want to do anything too crazy there. So really it's these last three rooms that we have to figure something out. Let's go back to our stamps. Panicked a little bit. I had like dust that was accumulating on the ceiling and it fell down onto the box that I have my phone stand on, and it like jumped out at me. Oh, jump scare. And it was one of these faces. Alright. So we've got, oh, you know what? We should probably have a book or notes or something like that. So we're going to do this down here on the table because we're trying to give the adventurers a small idea of what might be coming next. Okay, that's good. Alright, what are we doing with these three rooms? We've got an encounter, we've got an encounter. This one's going to be a trap. I feel like these can be kind of set dressing, be a little bit of lore. And then here, I don't think that I need anything too crazy, but let's see what we got. What else can we do to kind of help the premise of a blacksmith being around? Let's do... Let's look for metal real quick. So, not a lot to choose from, actually. Again, one of those things that I have to make sure that we're talking to Sergey about. Or we got nothing that I actually need. I feel like I've seen some kind of metal stuff before because we used it in the market. Let's see. Maybe I can actually find it in the market set. Maybe that's where I found it last. No. What the deuce? Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Save real quick. I'm actually going to step back and find whatever that was, and we're going to recreate a little bit of it here. Because he can't make his weapons without metal. Having metal available to him is a nice thing. Saving quicker would be nice as well. Alright, so we're going to go to Versali Barai, and I believe it was just the blacksmith, and it's this stuff up here. So let's go into our edit real quick, find out what they're called, and then just bring them right back into that map we were just working on. A marble wall pillar. Let's see if I can't make that look like metal ingots. So let's once again get some tables in there. Counters, as you know, if you will. Okay, we got that guy, and that guy, and that guy. And we're gonna throw that in down there. Don't know why it doesn't paste in place. It would be nice if it did. See a little bit poking down there, so let's scooch that up a little bit. Okay, not too bad, and it was marble something or other. There we go. So we just did marble pillars. I think the problem is going to be we're going to see that round bit if we do it that way. Do it like this. Oop, shrink it down somewhat. In theory, what we should be able to do, and who knows if this is going to work, we're certainly going to try. Shrink it down to 10. It's not a terrible size. And there we go. So if we're desaturating it, it looks a little bit more silvery. Even more when you up the brightness. I don't know if we play with the contrast a little bit. Contrast doesn't hurt too bad either, to be perfectly honest. So do that to 125 as well. So the trick is to stack them. And then the next trick is to have them go off the screen. So let's grab these one more time, and we're going to scooch them. Let's see. So we do have a little bit of a problem with the way they're sitting. I might be able to fix that if I go into it and go into like a high def mode. We'll worry about that later. Let's grab all these guys real quick. It would help if I was hitting the control key and not the shift key. So our dwarf is going to have a lot of material to work with. Let's do... Actually, we can just do this. And what else can we do to make it look a little bit like... Got those little guys. I don't care too much about those. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to think of like one more thing to put on that counter so it's not all just that thing. I think the anvil is the only thing that we get when we type in blacksmith. Not even. So where is the anvil? What set is the anvil from? Not Anhill. So it's Dwarven, it's in stationary tools. So let's see if we can't find other stationary tools. Grinder, bellows, got a water pump, a rocking horse, some siege engines, stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like the anvils are the only thing that we get in those stationary things. Let's step back a few seconds, see if anything else kind of... There was an old game on the Amiga called Into the Eagle's Nest. And you could get, like... The whole point of the game was to blow up whatever the castle was. It was like a Nazi castle that you were blowing up. And there was gold bars that you could find that kind of looked like this. So these do look like, you know, silver ingots or something like that. So I'm not totally opposed to how those look. I just need something else to make it a little bit more... There's got to be tongs. Like 99% sure I saw them somewhere. And if not, one more thing to have Sergey work on us with. It's like 99% sure that I had seen them. Let's see. Nope. Got some broken tools and some broken weapons. Bellows and springs and stuff like that. Magic wands. Rihanna loves magic wands. We ended up reaching out to someone earlier today. There is a Renaissance fair that's opening up near us, and I think that we secured a spot on it, so I'm very happy about that. Alright, we got leather bags. It really is bothering me. I'm like, I was so sure. Maybe it's not actually in the fantasy stuff. Maybe it's in the watercolor stuff. Let's see. These are what I'm looking for. So pliers. I don't think that there's pliers. Nope. I don't know that I can make this look appropriate. Well, let's check it out. Let's see what we can do. It actually doesn't look terrible. And again, I might be able to kind of mess with certain things over here in order to kind of help justify it looking a certain way. It doesn't look too watercolory now. So yeah, the whole concept is, and they're way too small. He should be able to have a much bigger thing. He's supposed to take one of those ingots, take it through here, throw it in the forge, and be able to do something there. Those pliers, those grips, are way too small. He'd burn himself like crazy. So kids, don't try that at home. All right, 2 last rooms. what do we want to do here? Actually, what I want to do, we have so many rooms that are opening out. Let's do another trick on our adventurers. And can't really have it opening in like that because then they'll know when they're looking at the map. But if you have it this way, you can make it so that the game master has the ability to say it doesn't push inward, it opens outward. And it could be sticky, and then that could be another reason that they could trip and fall. Alright. Crept up to 87 degrees in here, so we're getting close to the end of our 45 minutes. But let's try and figure out these last two rooms while we're here. So we've got the blacksmith, we've got the armor, we've got the supply room and the kind of closet in the back. We've got the area where the kind of like organic life forms, our gnolls and our lizard folk and stuff, they're here. There's a treasure room here which they can find the key for in any number of places. So what do we want to do with these last two rooms? Well, I'll tell you what, we're doing this thing here to kind of warn people about various other places on the second floor in the basement. Gives the... Oh, Rana said an apothecary and a lounge. I'll tell you what, I am not opposed to a lounge. I feel like the apothecary is tough because we already had that on the eastern wing. But let's see... We can't do like a bench. Oh, I'm in watercolor. I need to be in fancy Battlemaps. We've got some tavern benches. Let's do a wooden couch. We've got the attack dog kennel. A privy is not a bad idea. You do know that I get yelled at when I don't include bathroom stuff in the content that I create. It's a little hard, man. Stings. And since we're in the middle of the first floor of this area, an aviary doesn't make super sense here, but I don't mind it for the second floor, because the second floor is going to be the first open floor that we see. Let's see. I want to find something that's kind of cushy. Fancy chairs. A schmexy bathhouse for schmexy Borby booths? What the heck is a Borby booth? I feel like that's too fancy. This instead, does it look... I feel like it's a little too gothic. I really like this one. It just... Right, there's just that one piece, and then I can't use it elsewhere. Burble birth. Maybe we put them in the basement. I don't feel like it fits the flow in the direction that we're going, but I don't mind the idea as, you know, on its own. Got the broken wooden couch. You guys don't give me enough to work with. And I don't know that this is by itself serving a huge purpose. Let's do a less interesting looking bench. Let's do boats. Boats go on feet. Okay, and let's do a little switcheroo, and that makes it look like they're a right and left pair. And let's have this guy's sword. He left it on this bench. And let's see. Yeah, I think rather than bore people to death with all that, let's talk about one more thing before we close up shop today. So right now on Drive-Thru RPG, all of the Tellest content is half off. We're running that for another 2 weeks or so, and I can't remember the reason why, but I am doing it. So if you want to get our maps for $1.50 instead of $2.99, great time to do it. If you also want to see, we can get the entire first 50 maps to you for $30. So that's a great deal all on its own as well. But let's scooch over to our show closing page. So folks, on the screen right now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest out there on the internet. Tellest.com is a great place to start. It'll lead you into all these other directions. It'll be your one-stop shop. I would love a Chorkin Morkin. I feel like my brain is the one that should be melting up here because it is back up to 88 degrees, and I feel like your brain is melting, Rihanna. If you want to get some premium goods from us, patreon.com/Tellest, great place to start. I feel like I said that about Tellest.com. Patreon.com/Tellest is a great next place to go. You can find some of our digital maps on there. I think we're up to 82, plus at this point, like 263 variants. There's a decent amount of stuff there. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do art from the world of Tellest. It's a fun way to kind of show the world building that we're doing. Tellest.etsy.com is where you can find physical premium goods, including the battle maps that we've been showing off forever and ever, in these brilliant 20 by 40 polyester game pads. They look great, they feel great. You can use them as a mouse pad if you never use that campaign map again. But it really is like it'll really accentuate the tabletop experience for your players. Plus, we have our books. We have the Tellest art book on Etsy. We have posters, and we have Rihanna's one-of-a-kind handcrafted magic wands, which you can see more of at tiktok.com/@weirdwitchwands. She puts together little vignettes of the wands when they have finished being crafted. If you want to see our pooches, you can find them on tiktok.com/@TalesOfTellest. The last two places that you can that you should find us is youtube.com/@WorldOfTellest, where you can find all of our videos in nice playlists, and twitch.tv/thatTellestGuy, where you can chat with us live, earn channel points so that you can join our upcoming Tabletop Thursdays, and really kind of steer the way that those games go in some fun ways. That'll wrap us up for now, but we are going to close the show. I'm going to say I miss you, and then I'm going to work with Rihanna to make sure that I don't blow out people's eardrums. So, I miss you.